Did you know lions can sleep for up to 20 hours? And sloths can move 30 centimeters a minute. That is so slow that moss can grow on their fur and their coats. Hello and welcome to another English podcast with Paul. I'm your host, Paul. And as always, unscripted and unedited. There we go. If that's in the live version, then you'll know it's unedited. I do have some notes, so you may see me looking down. Try and look professional, you see. Right, if you're driving, please focus on the road. Everybody else, turn up that volume, put in your headphones, and let's dive into it. All right. Benefits of doing nothing. Wow. Okay, there's a statement. Doing nothing. We're all so busy now. Busy. If it's almost like you have to feel guilty if you're not doing something productive, if you're not helping towards the family or your life or your work. You kind of feel guilty. These guilty pleasures of doing nothing. But why is it so bad to do nothing? Why can you not just do nothing? Well, society kind of makes us feel that we should be getting it, do the action, be productive, get out there as a part of society. All this energy, this amped up energy to be that person of thrusted yourself out there, doing stuff, being productive. Okay, so benefits of doing nothing and boredom, the benefits of boredom. So it is a bit of a paradox that the more you're allowing yourself to be bored, which allows creativity and curiosity, then makes you more productive in coming up with ideas and solutions to the problems that you've had in your mind. Many people go away on relaxing retreats to get away from stress from work because they have heart condition or because they just need some me time to relax and to reconnect with nature. So it's not a new thing, this doing nothing and being bored. Monks have been doing it for a long time. And if you look at nature, you look at ants, for example, many ants societies will have 50% doing nothing. And some people think it's to do with reserve ants in case there's fire or water or problems within the hive, ant nest. And other people think that it's for another reason, that there's plenty of surplus ants to do the work. So a lot of nature, there's often a lot of sitting around and doing nothing. They say, the scientists and the archaeologists say that if we did nothing back in the caves, well, we did do nothing back in the caves. If we didn't do nothing back in the caves after we'd done the hunting and gathering and full bellies, if we hadn't have done nothing and been curious and creative, we would have never discovered fire or the wheel or drawings, and communication would have never have developed if we hadn't had that period of boredom, allowing our brains to unpick the problems and issues we have during the day. That is a very important part of growth. Just take a look at example for babies and toddlers. Babies sleep for hours and hours because they're processing and learning so much information. Their brains need to try and make sense of it, try and build pathways, neural pathways in their brains to connect all this information. And the same with toddlers. It's quite fun to watch toddlers just playing and then sitting around and doing not a lot and creating and imagining things. It's amazing. But that is lost once there is an amount of stimulation, whether it be a TV or some other artificial input, lights and noises and things like this. So, like I said, it's a bit of a paradox. You need this boredom to make creativity and to allow your brain to relax and unwind and unpick things. So, like I said before, I've done a little bit of research. I've looked at a few things, looked at some studies. It's very, very interesting, this whole art of being bored. Many people know there's technology everywhere now, lights, buzzing, cameras, all these things going on and stimulating the brain and the body so much. It's everywhere, it's everywhere. And we often talk about our children being overstimulated and being tired because it's very difficult to unwind in the evening, very difficult to relax and go to bed and fall asleep. I myself am guilty of this, you know, being on my phone or a device or working until late into the evening. And then you go to bed and within 10, 15 minutes, you're awake again and you're rolling around and moving and just trying to disconnect and unwind and relax can be an art. It can be a real science. Why is it so hard to fall asleep? Why is it so hard to disconnect from the masses of sensory input we have? Whether it's your phone beside the bed and a little ding when you get a notification, whether it's a slight humming of the electrical sounds of your phone charging, or your alarm clock on beside you, or the lamp and other things in your room. Maybe you've had too much blue light in the evening, or is it blue light helps? One or the other. All these things are a lot of stimulation that slow down our and mess up our sleep patterns. Like I say, there's a whole art to it. There's a whole industry now dedicated to doing nothing. It's a real buzzword now, a phrase, doing nothing, boredom. Like I said, we often as kids and as ourselves as children would be bored, and that would help us invent new games, go out and do stuff, connect with friends, and be the mother of invention, of doing something. So boredom is a really, really good, positive part of life and our growth. But with all this technology and with the ease of giving technology to younger children to entertain them, instead of dealing with these maybe learning behaviors of nagging and connecting and disrupting adults, just giving into them and giving these electronic devices to curb that constant crave of stimulation is maybe not a good thing, it turns out. Maybe that's not the right way. So, boredom. Why is it so hard to connect and appreciate boredom? It's kind of painful. Boredom stimulates not just negative feelings within ourselves from other people, that we're not doing stuff, or we're not busy, we're not focused, we're not, productive. Then we seem to put that pressure on ourselves, and we forget the real value of doing nothing. Okay, so if we can pause stimulation for a while, it can really help us reflect, not just on the day, but on our thoughts and our problems and our life. Boredom is a real positive thing we should be embracing. And some of the things here I've written down are very interesting just to unpack and look at. So by taking time from work to do nothing, you increase the time your brain spends unpicking problems and making critical connections, thus allowing you to tackle work with fresh, creative energy. So that was something I read on the BBC website, 6 Minute English. I'm sure you guys have heard of it. BBC's 6 Minute English. Amazing resource that's free. Okay. Sensory deprivation. So like just putting a blindfold on for half an hour can really, really help disconnect from technology and society and let your mind wander. There is also many different ways of disconnecting and deprivation. Deprivation can also be like a spectrum. You know, a little bit of it is good, but too much of it can be bad. Some people that have other deprivations as a disability struggle to have a fulfilled life with these deprivations. Maybe it's sight or hearing, and can lead to depression and other negative mental health issues. So not enough boredom versus too much deprivation. It's an interesting balance on this spectrum. So a blindfold, really simple. Something else is a water tank. People have been talking about being in a water tank, and that's been popular for many years. This has become, well, decades even, and it's become even more popular. White noise. Not so long ago, I was struggling sleeping in a noisy neighborhood. And so I turned to white noise, which did actually help me get to sleep. Sometimes I'd wake up with a headache, but it did drown out all the other sounds. And white noise was, it was a crux. It was easy to get connected to it. Well, actually, it took me a few days, but once I got into it, it was really, really good. And it was almost like a drug to try and get off of this white noise to sleep. It was a very interesting paradox. And then I've also seen when I've worked in what did I work in, playgroups and things like this, I've seen some people like to give white noise to babies to help babies sleep, because the white noise covers all other sounds in the spectrum. And if you have it at the right volume, it can help the baby just zone out completely and fall asleep, which I thought was fascinating. There's other things as well, such as a basic diet of like bread and water, or something just really, really basic. Deprivation to your mouth for senses of foods such as salt, fats and sugars, these kind of things. And then also I watched a film recently where a guy went into a cabin that just inside the porch, there was a hatch for him to have food pass through. But it was a cabin of complete darkness. And he did this, it was like a retreat, I guess, for 5 days. It was called Yes Theory. So if you're interested, they do lots of amazing things. Yes Theory on YouTube. So he went into this cabin for 5 days, and he had a real roller coaster of emotions and feelings. So it was very therapeutic. You know, obviously he did this on purpose. He paid for it as a therapy, as a way of, I don't know, relaxation, to get connected with himself. It was really, really good to watch and to see his emotions and his feelings. But these retreats aren't new. There's been silent retreats and other kind of prayer retreats and things like this for eons, for a long, 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 long time. So a retreat is very interesting as well. Often people say that if you have too much deprivation, like in one of those water tanks or in the cabin, you can hallucinate and see different things and maybe go a little bit mad. That's the same as also said for people that are in prison and struggle to maintain relationships and society within the prison. And if they break down in that respect and not able to what's the word? Cohabit with other people in the prison, and maybe they get into fights, things like that, they go in solitary confinement, that can make people lose their mind and go doolally and hallucinate because of the deprivation of many things. Very interesting, very interesting. There's said to be a lot of benefits of deprivation and allowing your body and brain to just relax and unwind. But not just your body and not just your brain, but your body as well. Allowing your body to just sit around and do nothing, maybe for a whole day or 2 days, is really good as well, to allow your muscles to really let go and relax, in your brain and this. It's a whole industry. Amazing, amazing. All right, so then I moved on to blindfolds and cabin in the woods. So it also goes back to 10, 15 years ago when things like forest school started becoming popular, and how parents were wanting to reintroduce, and schools reintroduce, a more connection to nature. So there was like forest school and other nature connections, and but for many, many years we've had the Cubs and the Boy Scouts as after school clubs and weekend clubs. That's another nature connection and lack of purposeful stop minimizing sensory inputs. So yeah, but now you've got like a phone jail, normally used as a punishment, but you can actually use apps on your phone to disconnect from the internet and allow you to control the amount of usage of your phone. So you can buy a physical phone jail and lock your phone in it. You can have apps that monitor your phone usage, your internet usage, and then there's words like doom scrolling, where we kind of get into a habit of looking at terrible things on the internet. So studies have showed that disconnecting is very beneficial in many, many ways, not just for your brain, but for your body and your whole mental health. Because obviously we're all very aware of mental health issues these days. Being aware of mental health, disconnecting, reducing your sensory connection to the world has lots and lots of benefits. Not just mentally, but physically, allowing your body to relax may help alleviate some ailments, may even help alleviate anxiety and depression. We'll have to see what some of the studies say. Okay. But some of the other positive ways of connecting that are a little bit more practical, I would say, is to be able to physically enjoy spending quality time with your children without internet sensory overload, without going on apps and phones, but like playing horsey with your children, when your children are on your back and you're crawling around the floor, playing, having fun, being creative, having like what do they call it, a blanket fort, or a bedroom with blankets all over the place, so a den so they can hide and have stories, and maybe some fairy lights. Simple things like this. Walking with your children in nature, walking around a field, or even just through the park. That connection of walking. Sometimes doing something really mundane, like walking, a long walk, is really good. Not just for conversation and connection with people and connection with your dog, but connecting with your children. Something like that's mundane and that lasts for a little while, like an hour, can really do a lot of good for your brain and your body. What else we got? Yeah, just the simple things to be able to connect with yourself and connect with nature. A lot of people talk about meditation as well. Now, I struggle to get involved with meditation. I find that when I start to relax and do the traditional types of meditation, as soon as I close my eyes, I fall asleep. I just drift off asleep, which is a positive thing, I guess, because we were talking about going to sleep. But doing meditation and me just falling asleep is, it's positive and good, but I don't feel I'm doing the job I'm supposed to be doing with meditation. So they also say you can go into a different type of meditation state where you zone out, where you just feel like you're fully in the moment, like going for a long walk or enjoying a long cycle ride with minimal stimulation. So many of these normal, natural things, if you do for a little bit longer, can really help you to unwind and allow your brain to enjoy nature around you and be more connected with yourself. Okay. So the next thing I was thinking about is how society and has changed with this technology. And could you imagine the future without electricity? Just take a moment to think about that for a moment. The future with no electricity, like a dystopian sci-fi show, a dystopian world, no electricity. Let's just think about that for a moment. Let's just ponder that. I'd imagine that would bring in a lot of creativity, a lot of energy to build and focus and just enjoy the nature, the sounds of nature, the feel of nature, the connection with weather. I'd imagine that would be pretty exciting and interesting after you've got used to it. Good idea. Okay. And we talked about retreats, appreciating nature all around us before it's too late. So often there's a phrase we hear called, how does it go? The roses smell sweeter the closer you are to the grave. Now that sounds a little bit morbid, morose, but I think that kind of implies the older you get, the more interesting and the more important the simple, small things are, like the scent, the smell of a flower. I think that just shows the importance of those simple things. So we do need to take some time just to realize how beautiful the world around us is, nature, the weather, gardens, greenery, how beautiful it is, people. It's a very interesting subject to do nothing, disconnect. It seems very obvious and very simple, yet it's kind of hard in our everyday society. Are we going to become more connected in the future? Are we going to spend millions or thousands on retreats? Would you go to a retreat? Let me know in the comments below. Would you go to a retreat, or have you been to a retreat? Or do you know somebody who's been to a retreat? Do you have a little habit where you purposely don't do something? Like, for example, I refuse to look at my phone when I'm in the bathroom. Everybody does it, and I used to do it. But I really make a habit now of not looking at my phone when I go in the bathroom. It stays in my pocket or on the table. And if I walk the dog, one of us will leave our phones behind. It's good one has for safety, but we'd take it in turns to leave our phone behind. And it feels very freeing. Very much like, nobody is going to contact me or send me a useless notification about something I don't care about. It's terrible having all these crazy notifications that are unimportant. Just trying to disconnect and unsubscribe to all these useless pieces of information that infect our daily lives. So let me know in the comments, have you been to a retreat? Would you go to a retreat? And do you have any habits that you do on purpose to minimize your connection with the internet? I really want to know. Let's have a conversation. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for listening. If you get a moment and you found some value in this, please do subscribe and hit those buttons below. Much appreciated. Thank you very much. And as always, have fun learning. If you don't have fun, you're not going to learn. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye for now.